Aesthetics and audio producers are going to be really, really high level. We're going to find that the light forces are opening up. We're moving into new dimensions. We're moving into new frequencies. We're moving into the unconventional, the unpredictable, the unforeseeable future. And we're really, really doing this with confidence and courage that is beyond anything that we could possibly imagine. If we only put our 2 cents in for it and go full in and not muck around and not move about in multiple ways where the movements that we produce form deluxe ciders. We don't want that. What we want is a society of people that are embracing each other's differences and are celebrating the unity and diversity that exists in the world. And so that's what we're striving to do now. Venus is going to enter Aquarius on December 7th, and this is going to bring a lot of surprising and unprecedented ideals to us. That's the very, very first thing that this Venus is in Aquarius is going to bring, is surprising and unprecedented ideas that come about when we open up our mind to new foreseeable futures of potentials that can come at us that are very in juxtaposing to what they actually are. So these ideas that we have are going to lead to breakthroughs. But if we're going to take action on them, then they're going to lead to breakthroughs. If we're just letting them sit around and muck and stew about their lives, then we're not going to really do anything. We're going to be in the room, in the decons, really, really engulfed in our own disenchantment. And we don't want that to. So, what we want to achieve here is we're really, really having these great ideas, recognizing them, and then putting them into action, following our intuitive hunches, the insights that our intuition gives us, and fulfilling our ideas to the max. We need to understand and study the law of attraction because that is going to really, really mean a huge world of difference to us when it comes to really evaluating what does prosperity mean to you? What is your definition of prosperity? Attracting in abundance, attracting in fruition, attracting in the carrots and the peaches and whatever is your favorite fruits and vegetables. So we need to be in a state of gratitude and peace in order to call in that particular things. And we need to do things that can help get us into those states of being. This isn't a new concept. It's been around since the beginning of time. It's old news, but it's current news. It's news that stands the test of time. In order for us to receive more abundance, we have to have abundance. We have to feel abundant about our current situation. And that's the only way we can get to manifesting the life that we want to desire. So we need to look at, really take seriously the flashes of insight that we get from our intuition. And this is a good time also to be very, very creative. Get out the paintbrushes, get out the crayons, get out the coloring pencils, get out the Estelle really, the creative things that help us to tap into the time that is not defined by linear or 1, 2, 3 steps and 4, 5, 6 steps is really what we need to tap into, is reigniting our creativity, reigniting our sense of play and our sense of fun and our sense of um inventionality is what the word is, that we need to call in being creative, being genteel. That's what we need to call in. There may be confidence when it comes to walking down our own path. We may feel more confident to go against the grain. We may feel more confident to do our own thing and not getting caught in the group think of what everybody else is doing. And so we really, really need to think about disrupting and reinventing the ways we connect to others in relationship. So evaluating our connections is what we need to do. Evaluating these things, doing these things very efficiently, very effervescently, very effectively. So that becomes huge. We're seeking out more freedom. We want to be free. We want to be liberated. We don't want to be tied down. We don't want to be forced to do something. We don't want to put in a blowhole where we're forced to put up the next blow torches to the omnivolent people. We want to choose to be our own sovereign selves, living our own sovereign lives. What are you choosing to leave behind that no longer serves you? We may be feeling very erratic now, so embrace the erraticism that comes. And open-mindedness is so huge because if we're open-minded, we can really go very, very far. We can really expand the trestles and rustles. We can go the mileage distance. We can do all the things that come into play with us if we only choose to be open-minded in our connections. Also, not only in the things that we intellectually engage in on the book and site level, but the conversations that we have are equally as valid. So being open-minded in our connections, really being very strategic with what connections that we engage in, what connections that we disengage in is really prominente now. Venus is the planet of relationships. It's how we approach relationships. Whatever sign Venus is in your chart is how you approach relationships. So if Venus is in Cancer, you approach relationships like it is your family, your clan, you're part of a Zuto. You approach relationships with a very emotionally nourishing persona. If Venus is in Virgo, you approach relationships in a very pragmatic way. You're very discerning in relationships. You are looking to improve the person that you're in relationship with, not tear them down, but try to help them become better versions of themselves. Venus in Aquarius approach to relationships is very detached, and it's also a very friendly sort of relationship. I'm not only married to you, but I'm also friend with you. There's a freedom. There's a spunky joy when it comes to friends relationships. So that's what Aquarius values. So, Venus is also another thing about Venus is it also rules our sense of self-worth, how we define self-worth, what brings us self-joy, self-trust, self-worth, what gives us the jubilanciones of what we have to give. This can represent shifts in what we value and how we express ourselves. When Venus is in Aquarius, our values are all over the place. We're unclear, we're disoriented, discombobulated, but we're also cooking in the stew, really transforming from one version of ourselves to another version of ourselves. And we're changing how we view our relationships. This is a good time also to break barriers and explore new dimensions of love and relationship. This is also good for that. This is good for any kind of thing like that where we're um, breaking barriers and exploring new dimensions of love and relationships. What is there more to say? Okay, moving on to the sun opposite Jupiter. Let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about the sun opposite Jupiter. So this aspect really focuses in on overconfidence or inflated ego. So it's very likely that we may become over righteous, over zealous, and over functus in our abilities, in our what we can produce out into the world. Our ego may be inflated as well. So our may be very big, bold, astronomical kind of thing. We may be taking on way too much, taking on way too many things, overextending ourselves as well. So it's very good to get into a habit of recognizing how much you're taking on and how much you're choosing to take on. Because it's so easy to think that you can do all of the things, but at the end of the day, you can only do so much before your energy runs out. You're depleted, you're lost, and you are experiencing vertigo, and you're all over the place because you can't seem to get A to B and B to C and C to D. So it's mindful to understand that there is a limit to how much you can give, to how much you can do. And if you can recognize that limit and honor that limit and go towards that limit, that can be very benevolent for you. So that is something to keep in mind there. And so, if you go beyond your limits, then you'll experience burnout. That's something to really, really understand is that you have limitations, and if you go beyond that, you'll be feeling burnout at the end of the day. Another downside with this is that you may be in a very self-righteous mood, believing your opinions, and people is the only valid one, believing that your opinion is more valid than anybody else's opinion, anybody else's go-along-sided of what they have to give. So really, really looking at how open you're being to other people's opinions, to other people's perspectives, because they might be valid. What they have to say may mean a lot to you if you only open up and listen to it. So it's very important that you're confident in your opinions, but also open to others' perspectives as well. So this is a time to feel solid in your own stability. You may be focused too much on the material world. Money, wealth, and power may be big issues. You may be too focused on that, too fixated on that. So this is a good time to accomplish what is meaningful to you, whatever that is. It's also important not to overindulge in things because any negative aspect to Jupiter means overindulging, um, overdoing it, over mutilating and over mutilating and over scuttulating and over scutilating. So it's really, really mindful that we're not overdoing it when it comes to what we're eating, what we're drinking, what we're taking in. Our attention may be put on superficial things, maybe our cast our attention on more superficial matters. So that may be something that we're, really focused on is the superficial realm of life. So the next aspect is Venus forms an opposition to Pluto. So this is great for manifesting what you desire. Time for manifesting that. Manifesting miracles, saying goes. Other significant life areas, not just the one that you're primary focus on, but let's say you have another issue that becomes important, and that issue is focus, is a point of focus, is an area of focus, is your pseudo focus point of your life. So that becomes, very pseudo to you, if you know what I am getting at. Address whichever areas in your life need attention at whatever times they need attention at. So that becomes pertinent to take a look at. So you may want to go in all your relationships. So you may want to go in all your relationships. So this is very obsessive. This is very compulsive. This is very intense. You want to go all in. It's all or nothing. All the beaten bushes is never thing for the moment of choice. So it's important to look at your past wounds and evaluate those wounds for your highest good because that's what it really comes down to. Looking at your past wounds, really acknowledging them for what they are. This is also a good time to be cautious when entering new relationships because you may not know what you're getting into. Maybe excited from the moment that you get into it. You may be disappointed. You may be disenfranchised. So this becomes very important when you're entering new relationships is to know what you're getting into. Be discerning about the relationships that you're getting into now. Do you genuinely want connection with another person, or are you trying to fill an empty void that needs filling up with somebody else to fill it up? So there's a difference between those two feelings, and we need to be able to discern those two feelings and choose what is more important for us, for our highest good, for our soul's highest good. So it's important that we have honesty in our interactions, that we're very honest, that we're very transparent in our relationships, that we do not choose to keep things under the carpet, bury things under the rug, keep things under close quarters, bury down the hatches, and do all those things. That we're being honest about our feelings, honest about our ideas is really important. This is also good for confronting the shadows as well. This is also good for cultivating self-worth and security within you as well. So that becomes really, really huge that we choose to do this. So cultivating self-worth and security is what we're all about doing. So it's important not to rely on external validations, relationships, validating yourself, not relying on other people to validate you for whatever means it possibly could be. You may experience profound emotional and spiritual growth as well. There is a wrench in healthy relationships. If you're not careful, you could throw a wrench in those healthy relationships. Let's say you have a relationship with your spouse. It's very healthy, you get along great, you communicate well, there's give and take, but then you do something that you didn't intend upon it. You didn't know that it would happen, you didn't know that the result would be, but it throws a wrench in your relationship and it ruins that relationship and it completely cuts it out from your life. So be mindful of your actions and relationship. It's important not to misuse your power by manipulating others. So manipulating others is a no-no. Um, and it's important that you give off a potent persona. You may give that off. You may also be drawn to occult topics as well. So I did pull a couple cards for these 2 days for December 7th and 8th. For December 7th, the card that I pulled was the Gatherer. Before we cultivated greens, we collected the wild bounty of nature. The gatherer finds abundant seeds, nuts, berries, and wild greens, where the ordinary person sees only barren soil. The gardener is the provider, the forager, and the gardener who collects roots and vegetables for the long winter when game is scarce. She does not hoard, trusting the bounty around her. So the gatherer is about abundance, and it's about looking around you and recognizing all the things that you have. From your oracle cards to your books, to your family, to your dresser, to the food around you, all of it is equally valid. This is a time where the harvest is upfront touche, upfront niche. It's very, very niche and nash and a noosh. So the harvest is very abundant. There's so much abundance around you, and it comes to counting your blessings, looking to all that abundance and recognizing all that there is um, around you and all that you have around you is what this is about. This is time where you're reaping the harvest of what you are getting. So write down the things that you're thankful for. Um, is a great way of working with this card, working with this day is to do that and to engage in the things that you feel thankful for. So let's move on to December 8th. Let's talk about the December 8th astrology. So the first aspect is Moon squares Mercury. So this represents not being overly logical. Um, where if we're overly logical, if we're overly stuck in our heads and stuck in our ego minds and stuck in our left brain, then we miss the cues from our intuition. We miss what our intuition is trying to communicate to us, trying to nudge us in whatever direction that it's nudging us into, trying to let us know something really valuable that we need to remember. Otherwise, if we don't follow intuition, we are going to regret it. We also need to discern what emotions are valid and which emotions are going to hold us back and keep us in indulgent patterns as well. We may be influenced over a hypersensitive lens. We may be hypersensitive to the world around us, to the people around us. There may be a conflict between our head and our heart, so these two things are not exactly working in tandem. Sorting these two things out is something that we really need to take in the handy for us now. This is about taking a lot of information, taking a lot of things from your environment. This is about swings. You can have swings from irrational thoughts to rational thoughts. It's sort of all over the gamut. And this is a time to talk about or write about your feelings, not keeping those inside, but communicating them and expressing your feelings. Another aspect we have going on is that the moon is going to conjunct Saturn. And this is a worthwhile aspect for our attenzione. So the moon is going to conjunct Saturn. So we're feeling teachings about what we need in our boundaries. This is a wonderful time to engage in spiritual practices such as meditating, journaling, or taking a walk in nature. It's also very important that we share our emotions, that we don't get caught up in zest of our emotions, because there's a lot of zest in our feelings, and if we're too caught up in the zest, we miss the best. That was a little rhyme that I came up with. So it's important to build emotional foundations, build very, very strong emotional foundations under you. You may become nostalgic, looking through the old photo albums, looking to the things of how things used to be, how life used to be. And so this is about hanging on to routines that are comfortable and secure, that were comfortable and secure, but now they're old and dated. Now you need to shift those up and change those up and move to new ways of being, used to new heights of being. You may be seeking nurturing from an authority figure, instead receiving criticism. You may look to an authority figure seeking nurturing, warmth, tenderness, but instead you get something very cold, something very down to earth, something very critical for you. So be open to that. That's what you get. And so it's important to understand that you have so much control of your life, but you're not in control of every aspect of your life. And so you need to surrender to what you don't have control over. So this is about maturing on an emotional level. So maturing on an emotional level. Another aspect that we have going on is the sun is going to square the moon. So it's important to find ways to ground ourselves at this time. This may bring up feelings to the surface. This aspect may make these feelings hard to put aside, hard to ignore, hard to push down. So we need to acknowledge these feelings. We need to be present with these feelings. This is about bringing the energy of your relationships down a notch. Um, Enthusiasm and exuberant to melancholy and anxious as well. So we may be very we may have these mood swings of being really enthusiastic one moment and then melancholy the next moment. So this is about not taking others' emotions as a lack of your sense of balance and your self-worth. Not take their reactions and let them define what you can bring to the table, what your abilities are. What they have to say has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. It is a reflection of them. What they have to say to you is a reflection of who they are. Which projections do you wish to engage with and be on the same side with, and which are not? What advice are you going to take? What are you going to integrate into your system and apply to your life? And what aren't you going to? You have the freedom to decide that. You have the total authentic freedom to discern and make that choice, whether or not you want to follow this person's advice or not. It's important to not come across as too demanding or too controlling to others. Um, and so there may be fear of causing conflict or discomfort, addressing an issue, that may come up. You may feel uncomfortable addressing a certain issue, lack of confidence, lack of, whatever it may be. And so it's time to face the odds, time to really, really face the odds head on for what they are. This is a time to communicate your needs and boundaries in a way that respects both you and others. That this is very, very key. That you communicate these boundaries in a really prim and proper way, but also an honest and authentic way. We're communicating, this is my boundary, and this is what you need to respect. And asserting yourself with that is really what it comes down to at the end of time. So this is also about reacting impulsively. Conflicts can be uncomfortable. So you may feel the need to react impulsively, be impulsive, be compulsive, do all these things, but the conflict can be uncomfortable, but it needs to happen regardless. Even if it's not comfortable for you, you have to approach it with honesty, with the willingness to go to the conflict at the end of the day. You may be handling interpersonal dynamics and emotional challenges. This may be really, really huge for you. Emotional health and resilience is also what this comes down to. So doing things that can make you feel emotionally resilient and healthy. And then Sagittarius, which we're talking about the first quarter moon between the sun and Sagittarius and the moon in Pisces. Sagittarius is about the unknown adventure. It's about what lies beyond the known. Sagittarius is about staying present, swimming in the Piscean waters in confusion. That's what we may be doing, but it's important to stay focused. Taking a bath is a good thing to do, and any kind of form of self-care is really good at this time to do. So another aspect is the moon is going to square Jupiter. This may bring about optimism and philosophical contemplation. This may be about attitudes that alienate those around you. You're doing certain things, you're pursuing certain things, you're acting in certain directions that are alienating the people around you, that are putting a boundary and a wall between you and others around you. You want healthy boundaries, but you don't want walls. There's a difference. This is a time of greater heightened empathy and compassion. You may be feeling more empathetic, you may be feeling more compassionate. This is also great for self-care and nurturing your well-being. It's important that you are available to those around you to help those around you, but you don't deplete yourself. That's very, very important that you do not deplete yourself. Don't deplete your resources. Don't deplete what you can give. This is also a time to maintain your own boundaries while still being generous and supportive. So keep your own boundaries very, very strong. Keep up with what you do best, which is your own boundaries. Yet at the same time, give to others what you can give. All that you can give it away. All that you want to give it away, but not to the point where you're depleted and drained. And be supportive of those around you. That's what this is also about. Making others feel at home is a really good thing. If you're hosting an event, you may make a very inclusive, nurturing space for others. You may feel the need to prove yourself to others as well at this time. This is a good time to return to school to advance your career. So if you have a career in medicine or career in business, you're advancing that career very, very effectively at whatever university you're enrolling in and getting prepped for that. So it's very important to be mindful that your behavior does not get out of hand at this time. Another aspect going on is that the sun is sextile in Lilith. So this is a time to express your edgy side. This is a time to pursue what you genuinely want, what you truly want, not what somebody else wants or what you superficially want, what you truly desire for your life. This is a time to have a lot of personal identity in the raw, untamed energy of Lilith is what that is about. So that is what it really comes down to. So this is good for bringing out hidden strengths and enhancing self-expression in unique ways. So that's what this transit can bring about is bringing out these really strong strengths within you, and your expression is enhanced. And your authenticity is celebrated. Your authenticity is really acknowledged and recognized, and it's good for you to be authentic. And so it's important to assert independence with grace. Be graceful when it comes to your independence. This is good for personal growth and transformation, also as well. So then another aspect going on is that we have the moon sextiling Uranus. So the moon is in Pisces now, Uranus is in Taurus. This is an earth and water sextile. So this is about stimulating personal encounters and exciting events, really putting stimulating personal encounters and exciting events out there into the world and engaging in these things. This is good for trying something new in your personal life as well. This is also good for having flashes of insight to solve lingering problems, because you may have a lot of just issues that come up that may need your flashes of insight to solve these things. And you may have a lot of flashes of insight for these things. While you're internet scrolling, internet searching, you may come across critical information, so it's good to keep an eye out for that. This is good to express who you are uniquely and unapologetically. And this is good for helping the underdog also. This is good for getting involved in groups that help promote personal change. This is good for putting your attention on impacting others, breakthroughs and advancement, and resisting being defined by others, not being defined by others, knowing that what they're saying, how they think of you is a reflection of them, not you. So, not choosing for others to define who you are. So then the second card that I pulled, this card's for December 8th, is the Ghost Stands Upright in the Mystical Shaman Oracle. By the way, I forgot to mention that the Oracle deck I'm using is the Mystical Shaman Oracle by Color Great. So the Ghost Dance. So this card is really all about this card is all about honoring your ancestors. Um, doing things that honor your ancestors. Maybe moving on from past ancestral wounds, healing ancestral wounds, moving on from past patterns. You have the opportunity now to um, to honor your ancestors, but yet chart your own course, create your own path, go in your own way, move on from the past, be different than the past, be different from them in really positive ways, and create new traditions and new rituals and new customs. And the word customs actually has two meanings to them. So I'm creating a new story is what this is about. Not following in line with the story of your ancestors and what they did, but creating your own narrative. And forging for characters, because why not? Okay, everybody, thank you for tuning into this video. Like this, share this, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.